Hello guys, welcome back again to this episode. And of course, if you love this video, please subscribe. Now, something big is happening, guys. And most people have got no idea what is coming. Right now, veterans across the country of America are warning Americans to pay attention. They are saying the Klansmen, the Proud Boys, and other far-right extremists are planning to show up in their major cities during something they call No King's Day. Yeah, you heard it. No King's Day.
I'm scared, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm more scared now than I've ever been when I was at war. I've been to Iraq several times. I've been to Afghanistan several times. Bosnia, Macedonia, and Kosovo in the late 90s in that conflict. And I'm more scared now than I was when I was at war and on those peacekeeping missions. I'm scared. But what am I scared of? I'm scared of all the shit that the government is putting in place to crush us as Americans. And what's so crazy, the people that are aware like me and conscious like me, we are the minority when we need to be the majority. Because the majority of Americans don't even know what's going on. The people I talk to on a daily basis have no clue of what's going on. So when I try to enlighten them, I can tell by their demeanor that they don't want to hear. They already think I'm lying. They call me crazy, but they know I do my research, but they still don't want to believe nothing coming out of my mouth. And that's scary, because this is a time right now that we need to come together. I don't care what your race is. I don't give a fuck about that. We need to come together as Americans and show this government that you are not going to crush us, because we're not going to put up with it. But they're going to win. Because like I said, the people that are aware and are conscious, we are the minority. And the majority are oblivious to anything that's going on. And that's what the government wants. They want us deaf, dumb, blind, and distracted. And that's what we are as Americans right now. We are distracted. We're fighting over any and everything that we can. Stupid shit, petty shit. Shit that is meaningless when it comes to the shit that the government is about to bring down on us. I'm scared.
A so-called protest that's supposed to be about freedom and patriotism, but underneath all the flag and slogans, it's the same old hate. The same white nationalist energy we saw on January 6th, just dressed up differently. And this time, it's not just talk online. Veterans are saying these groups are organizing, gearing up and moving with purpose, targeting big cities where they know diversity runs deep. Cities like DC, Chicago, and the Los Angeles, all being mentioned as possible flashpoints. These veterans people who have served this country of America are sounding the alarm because they have seen this kind of bullshit. They recognize the language, the planning, and the mindset. And they're saying one thing loud and clear: be ready. Not panic, not paranoid, but be ready. Because when hate starts to mobilize, when men who wear the flag start turning it into a weapon, that's when ordinary people have to pay so much attention.
If you're going to the No Kings protest on the 18th, there's one thing to keep in mind that I'm not seeing talked about nearly enough. There will be three-letter organizations out there. They will be dressed head to toe in regular clothing. This has been throughout history. They also like to place on the sidewalks pallets, and it will have bricks. It will have something easily thrown.
Them ICE agents is just pardoned January 6th. And if they not gonna do it, then them Proud Boys, they do whatever the fuck that man say. Them folks have an allegiance to that man.
We must understand that this isn't about policies anymore. It's about safety. It's about awareness. And knowing that freedom doesn't belong to hate groups. It belongs to all Americans.
Trump wants blood in the streets of Washington, D.C. This weekend, he ordered hundreds of West Virginia National Guard troops into the Capitol. And I'm hearing from my friends in watchdog groups that he's pushing governors in states like Ohio, Tennessee, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Louisiana to do the same. Now, let me be clear. This is very different from part-time soldiers policing their own neighborhood. This is out-of-state troops being rushed into D.C. with Trump demanding that they carry firearms, even if they haven't qualified to use them. It's not about crime, it's not about order, it's about optics, it's about power. Now, before I go any further, I want to be clear. I don't think that Trump is sitting in a room carefully planning this out several steps ahead. He's not a strategist. He's reactive. Trump is always acted on pure instinct. He absorbs the Fox News alternative reality the same way that his millions of supporters do. And then he reacts to that delusion as if it were the truth. That's why scholars call what he does authoritarian impulse. He's just acting on impulse. He's following the authoritarian playbook not because he studied it, but because it's who he is. What we're watching this weekend is the next stage of Trump's militarization of the United States. The pattern is familiar. Incite fear, declare a crisis, militarize the response, and then frame resistance as extreme. He's not trying to protect D.C., he's manufacturing a confrontation between uniformed men with rifles and the people of that city, so that he can claim that he's the only one who can restore order. This is a test run, a rehearsal for how he can use out-of-state troops to project power into any Democratic-led city or state. And here's the really dangerous part, the split in how Americans even see what's happening right now. Writer Evelyn Quartz calls this the war over what's real. People in my information ecosystem see Trump's actions for what they are, a dangerous authoritarian occupying the capital of the United States. But people immersed in Fox News and other Trump-aligned media see something else entirely, a strongman restoring order. Same events, two different realities. And that's the point. If you control perception, even if it's for half of America, you don't need facts. Whistleblowers inside the Guard have been telling watchdog groups that commanders are rushing troops through weapons qualifications so that they can hit the streets armed. For context here, I'm a former U.S. Army sergeant and combat veteran, and it's based on that experience that I'm telling you how dangerous this is. It is unacceptable for soldiers who haven't proven proficiency with their weapons to be pushed through ranges just to get rifles slung across their chests, especially on the streets of the United States of America. This is not about readiness, this is about optics. It's about projecting Trump's control of the Capitol by force. And here's the risk. Troops brought in from out of state or out of the district may view DC residents not as neighbors, but as hostiles, because that's the lens that right-wing media gives them. That's how civilians become enemies in the eyes of soldiers. I've also heard, but haven't yet confirmed, that many of these out-of-state units are infantry and cavalry. That matters. I was in an infantry unit my entire time in the Army, including during my deployment to Iraq. And one of the lessons every veteran of the global war on terror knows is this, that combat units are not suited for police work. You can give us a day of training on de-escalation, but you can't just flip a switch and turn warfighters into law enforcement. They spend most of their time training to engage the enemy, not protect constitutional rights. And Trump knows exactly what he's doing, what risks he's creating. With every armed guardsman deployed into D.C. from outside the district, the risk grows of a Kyle Rittenhouse-type incident, a poorly trained soldier panicking, firing on protesters, and unaliving Americans. If that happens, it won't just be a tragedy, it'll be a catalyzing event. People fed up with Trump will flood the streets across the country. Trump will then have all of the excuses that he needs to expand the crackdown, sending more troops into more democratic cities. That's how escalation works. That's the authoritarian playbook. And we've seen this before. In the 1920s and 1930s, Mussolini's black shirts and Hitler's brown shirts, they staged violence. Then they claimed only they could restore order. That's how fascism consolidated power. More recently, Putin did the same, manufacturing crises, then using them to centralize authority in Moscow. In 2014 and again in 2022, he fabricated threats to justify invasions of Ukraine. Chaos, militarization, conquest, all justified by a narrative of protection. Trump is using the same playbook right here in America. So why is this happening now? First, Trump's losing legitimacy. Polls are sinking, his economy is crumbling, and his foreign policy failures are obvious. Second, he's staring down accountability in the courts and a likely Republican wipeout in 2026. Militarizing DC is his way of projecting strength and intimidating opponents. Third, he's leaning on decades of Republican propaganda about Democratic crime cities. Crime in DC is at historic lows, but that doesn't matter. The perception of lawlessness is what justifies the crackdown in the eyes of these people. And here's the bigger danger: normalization. DC was uniquely vulnerable because of home rule. Its leaders don't have the same power as governors to resist federal intervention. That made it Trump's easiest target. But if he succeeds here, he'll expand the model elsewhere. You've already seen him in Los Angeles, but he'll go to New York, Chicago, Philadelphia. Once Americans accept troops in their streets as ordinary, the authoritarian project has already succeeded. Here are 3 things you can do now to go on offense for democracy. First up, baseline resistance. Don't give up on democracy. Contact your representatives and tell them not to hand long-term control of DC to Trump. Demand statehood for DC. You wouldn't want out-of-state troops policing your town, and no American should have to accept that. Number 2, preparations. Build resilience. Start anti-fascist book clubs. Study Task Force Butler's community response and street team guides. Build networks of trust, train together, and prepare to resist authoritarian violence. Number 3, active measures. Impose costs. This doesn't mean violence. It means lawful disruption and civil disobedience. Organize mass protests that overwhelm the system. Lawfully expose the logistics of ICE and Guard deployments. Boycott businesses profiting from this occupation. And focus accountability where it belongs, on the governors, generals, and political leaders ordering this crackdown. This is not a drill. Trump is testing us. If we normalize soldiers in our streets, democracy is already gone. We can't afford to sit back. We must resist. We must prepare. And we must go on offense. Because the longer we wait, the harder it gets to take our country back.
Multiple veterans, ex-military, and law enforcement are warning civilians to stay alert. They have seen this kind of build-up before: online chatter, secret planning, coded messages spreading through far-right forums. The warning says these groups are coordinating travel to big cities, like I've mentioned before: DC, Atlanta, Chicago, and maybe even in the Los Angeles. Some are reportedly stockpiling gear, flags, and military-style clothing to appear patriotic. But veterans are saying, don't be fooled. This isn't patriotism, it's a provocation. Their goal is chaos, to test the system, intimidate minorities, and trigger fear before the election. Many of these veterans fought for the flag these men claim to be defending. They are disgusted seeing hate groups use their uniform, their flag, and their country as a symbol of division. Veterans says they recognize the same kind of extremist energy that led to the January 6th. Some are saying they have seen this movie before, and it doesn't always end well. They are warning law enforcement and ordinary Americans to be prepared, not paranoid, but be prepared. Because some are advising people to avoid protest zones, stay alert, and document any violence. Stay at home. This isn't just about protest. It's about growing movement of hate trying to clothe itself as a freedom. These groups thrive on attention, fear, and media chaos. But the veterans are saying something that is very powerful, that patriotism means protecting people, not attacking them. Real America doesn't terrorize its neighbors. Real Americans doesn't wave a flag while chanting hate. And when veterans, the people who have seen this war before, say something looks dangerous, Americans better listen. Because many of these groups are openly targeting diverse communities. Black people, Latinos, Jewish are being mentioned in online hate spaces. Veterans are urging these communities to stay aware, stay connected, and look out for one another. They're saying don't live in fear and don't walk blind either. This isn't about panic. It's about preparation. Keep your phones charged, guys. Travel smart and know your exits during large gathering, because hate doesn't need reason. It just needs a crowd. These veterans aren't sounding alarm for clout. They're warning because they have seen what hate looks like up close.
Something big is coming this weekend, and I don't think people realize just how dangerous it's going to get. Look, I've been saying this for months on here. This man doesn't see protests as citizens exercising their rights. He sees them as a TV episode. He runs the country like a reality show, and he's the executive producer of all this chaos. Now, earlier today, a memo, maybe leaked, maybe not, went out from federal agents to local law enforcement warning that anyone attending these No King rallies is now considered a potential terrorist. Just showing up to say we don't want a dictator now makes you a suspect. And I'm seeing something that worries me more than ever. You know, this weekend, special gear is going up all over cities in every protest zone to scoop data right off your phones. I hope you're ready for this. They're called cell site simulators, also known as stingrays. These devices pretend to be cell towers so your phone connects to them instead of legit carrier towers. That initially lets them capture your phone's unique identifiers, pinpoint your location in real time, even if you're not making a call. They force weaker or older encryption protocols so that they can exploit vulnerabilities on your phone and collect data not just from targets, right? Everyone around you in the zone becomes swept into this dragnet. Now, it's not just theory. These tools are already in use by local, state, and federal agencies. In fact, many departments are under NDAs with these manufacturers. And I'll be honest, I think this is intentional. They're setting the stage. If anything pops off in a big city, Chicago, New York, LA, Portland, he'll step in front of the cameras and say, "See, I told you so." Then he'll use that as his justification to activate the Insurrection Act or enforce some type of martial law even. But you see, that's how it starts. Not with tanks rolling down your street overnight, but with fear, labels, and televised proof that he needs to seize control. And yeah, I know some folks are going to come at me saying you're overreacting. Well, I'm not. So please, if you're out there protesting, be careful. Record everything, protect one another, because this could be the spark that defines where we go next as a country. Please make sure to share this with everyone that you know, specifically if they're thinking about going to these protests this weekend. Please, 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 please follow. Once again, share it. Sharing it will do a heck of a lot more for a lot of people who are not maybe potentially in the loop. But I just want to ask you guys real quick. How long can a free nation survive when fear becomes its form of governance?
Trump plans on firing missiles over Camp Pendleton in California near San Diego. Guys, we're literally making a difference. I can't believe the headline I saw today. So if you don't know, the No Kings protest is on October 18th and everyone and their mom is showing up, trust me. But the fact that he's trying to cut off the highway and cut off people's access like we're not going to show up, y'all, we are literally making a difference. It's so crazy. I'm so proud of us. Look at him trying to put us down. It's not going to stop. Everyone show up October 18th. Do what you can, just be safe, please. Always be safe.
If you're going to this No Kings protest this weekend, be prepared to die. Leave your kids at home, leave a key under the mat or something so somebody can go take care of them. Be prepared to die out that motherfucker. Not saying that we're going to be violent. It's going to be a peaceful protest. But them ICE agents is just pardoned January 6ers. And if they not going to do it, then them Proud Boys, they do whatever the fat man say. Them folks have an allegiance to that man. The Proud Boys, whoever they want to call their little alt-right organizations now, them people putting on them masks and going out and doing mass shootings and all that shit, them motherfuckers will be there. If it's not this protest, it might be the next one or the next one or the next one. But every single time you go out for a motherfucking protest now with this administration and his motherfucking following, be prepared to die. I'm just being 100% honest with you. Don't go out that motherfucking think it's all going to be peace and kittens and caboodles. We going to be peaceful and them motherfuckers going to be violent. And I'm telling you that right now. I'm just warning y'all motherfuckers. And all y'all talking about some wearing masks because you don't want to be identified as a fascist. Motherfucker, I'm black in America. I'm always going to be the target. You can look at me right now and say, look, I'm anti-fascist. I can say that out loud right now. Put me on a fucking list. I'm black. I already been on a fucking list. Y'all talking about some, I don't want to be labeled as Antifa. You don't got a fucking choice, nigga. You don't. So when you go out there, be prepared to die. I'm just letting you know. Because these motherfuckers, if it's not the government, it's going to be some independent acts of danger out there. And I encourage the National Guard to do your fucking job and recognize and identify who's being violent and who's not, so you can stop that violence immediately so we can peacefully protest, because it's going to be a motherfucking, watch your motherfucking back. Watch these motherfuckers dressed up militant. Watch these motherfucking white boys with them dark shades on. Watch them motherfucking white boys with them trench coats on. Watch your motherfucking back, nigga. Keep your head on the swivel.
We have some really big news this evening. Sources have told Midas Touch in an exclusive report that the White House plans on shutting down portions of the I-5 highway in California for Vice President J.D. Vance's Marine Corps spectacle during No King's Day protests this weekend, triggering chaos, gridlock, and outrage as troops are going unpaid during the government shutdown. So Midas Touch is now learning that from several sources that the White House has planned to close major sections of Interstate 5 this Friday and Saturday. It's also preparing plans for 2 days of events under the pretext of the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Marine Corps. It's being described as, quote, a vanity parade that may involve Navy warships even shooting live projectiles into Camp Pendleton as a, quote, show of force. J.D. Vance is expected to be present and intends on leading this parade. Now, Governor Gavin Newsom's office has confirmed that, quote, the governor is working with local partners to minimize what would be a massive disruption and reckless disregard for California's infrastructure and communities. As we get more information, obviously I'll let you know, but this is very serious, so spread the word and follow along for more. We have some big news right now. Virginia Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin has called up the National Guard in response to tomorrow's No King's Day demonstrations. There are about 60 demonstrations planned across the Commonwealth of Virginia, and now the National Guard will be present at some or all of those demonstrations. This comes after Republican Governor Texas Greg Abbott did the same. Now, Texas Governor Abbott did that specifically for the Austin, Texas protest. Now we're going to see National Guard military troops on the ground for Virginia demonstrations as well. Folks, there is a lot of talk from Republican governors, Republican legislators about these protests being hate America rallies, Antifa-backed, etc. There is no evidence to support that. And No King's Day 1.0 was actually almost 100% peaceful. But I will continue to provide you updates. Just be aware, especially if you're going out tomorrow. So spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
If you haven't heard, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced that he is deploying the National Guard to the No Kings protests set for this Saturday in Austin. Over 2,000 protests are planned across the country to speak out against actions and policies made by the Trump administration. Texas Democrats are already responding to the governor's announcement, saying that he's taking a page from Trump's playbook and that sending armed soldiers to suppress a peaceful protest is what kings and dictators do. So going back to Austin, this Saturday at 2 o'clock, that protest is set to take place at the Capitol and then move to Auditorium Shores. So what do you think about all this?
Hey, this No Kings 2.0 day coming up October 18th got these people shaking in their boots. They don't know what to do. So now they just docked a warship on the side of San Diego and they threaten to shoot missiles into the crowd of people that's peacefully protesting. Boy, y'all got us hooked up. And I guarantee you, if you shoot a missile into that crowd, all hell gonna break loose all through the United States. And I guarantee you, every last one of you demons and devils gonna get exactly what y'all got coming. It ain't no way that our own Navy is going to shoot missiles into the crowd. I don't see that happening. They are using fear tactics, but guess what? We don't give up. The people that had enough. And I guarantee you, this 2.0 No King's Day will be a record-breaking event. You got people in every city and state that is tired of this bull that's going on with Trump and his private army. We are not bowing down. We will not stop, and we will be heard. If y'all that mad about it, you should have stopped snatching and kidnapping people off the streets, and we wouldn't be here where we at now.
Remember that video when I said that we were going to need help in 2 months from these countries? I lied. We probably got a month left. It was announced yesterday that the colonel of the Marine Corps, who has been in his position for 24 years, decided to resign after saying Pete Hegseth's speech had ruptured a certain feeling amongst the military. And I'm going to add the second reason why today, because I think people have kept this a secret. Donald Trump will be firing live missiles into California. I can't believe I just said that. Donald Trump will be firing from warships live missiles into California on No King's Day. Yes, you heard me correctly. If you can tell me any president outside of Abraham Duke Oogie or anybody else in between that has taken the opportunity of bombing anything in our country, anything on soil, we usually practice shit like that, I don't know, in the ocean or somewhere else. This happens to be close to one of the big protests, San Diego and Los Angeles. And honestly, as a historian and a constitutionalist, this shit is bad. It was so bad with the execution of this operation, Gavin Newsom had to run around with like a chicken with his head cut off, so that they didn't shut down his highways without his permission and not tell him that they were going to fire into Camp Pendleton. On April 12th of 1861, there was a random explosion in Fort Sumter, South Carolina, that led to the Civil War.
This is not a coincidence. This is not timing or marketing. This is strategy. They want a missile display over California right during the No Kings protest. And that's not just optics. It's intimidation, using a military spectacle to shadow dissent. Reports circulated that military ammo might be fired, coastal ranges activated, and major roads possibly affected, all timed to match the protest schedule perfectly. Graffiti rumors said highways like I-5 would close. Then the Marines and Navy scrambled to say, we'll stick to training ranges, no public roads, safety protocols intact. But that response came after fear was seated. That's how they work. Throw the threat first, dial it back later, when the crowd is unsettled. Put yourself in the boots of the protesters. You show up with signs, chants, hope, and above, you hear rockets. That's a message in itself. Stay home. Stay small. Don't make waves. When force shadows free speech, we don't call it security, we call it suppression. When spectacle is turned into threat, the balance shifts, and the people lose ground. Ask them, who greenlit the timing? Why align live fire display with civil activism? Whose political influence gets pumped by fear? Don't let them hide behind disclaimers after they've dropped the idea into the public mind, because this is not showmanship, this is pressure. And if we tolerate protests met with missile rumors, we legitimize fear as a tool of governance. If you believe in protest, in dissent, in free voices, then this moment matters. Call your leaders, demand they rule out live fire near protest zones, make sure the timelines, contracts, communications all become public. They want to scare us with their toys. They've got another thing coming.
Operation Inflation. Spread the word. For the No Kings protest this Saturday, I'm gonna need everybody outside in one of these. I'm gonna need everybody outside in one of these. They are so practical. They literally protect you from your identity being seen. They can protect you from tear gas and other things like that. But they are also non-menacing. We will not give these people their propaganda clips if we're out in frog and uniform costume. I actually just ordered this one. It actually just arrived last night and it is perfect. So I hope to see all of my fellow inflatables outside, because imagine if all of their propaganda videos is ice on one side and they pan over to just an army of inflatable characters. Like, come on, that's hilarious. But also it is a great way to like lightheartedly fight back and stand up, because like I said, it conceals your identity. It keeps, like, mine actually came with gloves, so ain't leaving no fingerprints somewhere, but it also protects you from getting gas. There is a layer of air, so if someone shoots a rubber bullet at you, yeah, it's probably still gonna go through and fucking hit your ass, but it's gonna be much lighter than it would be if you just had nothing, if your body was just exposed. It literally feels like when I put it on last night, it literally felt like I was in a hazmat suit, so I was like, I ain't catching no COVID. So highly recommend getting one as soon as you can, because I think this is like one of the best ways that we can resist and fight back. But No Kings this Saturday. Make sure you're outside. Make sure you're making your protest signs this week. Order your megaphones, order your costumes. Let's get outside and show them how much we are upset with this regime. I really do feel like the 18th is going to be a big day. and I don't want to give them the ammo that they want to declare the Insurrection Act. And I think if we're all outside in these, they're just going to look ridiculous. So, see you guys on Saturday.
Besties, if you're going to No Kings this weekend, I need you to leave your cell phone at home. I'm going to say that again. I need you to leave your cell phone at home. We have a lot of newly activated people. Welcome. So glad that you're here. We need you to be safe. We need you to keep other people safe. You need to arrive and depart with at least one buddy. You need to not bring your cell phone. Airplane mode is not sufficient. Turning it off is not even really sufficient anymore either. Those of us who've been doing this a long time, we used to risk assess different actions. That risk assessment is kind of out the window. We need to be treating every action as the most dangerous and high risk action there is. Take it from somebody who joined a peaceful interfaith protest, not even a protest, it was a fucking vigil, and watched people get the shit out of them on the bridge in Cincinnati. So you need to leave your phone at home. You need to write the number of a local legal aid organization on your forearm. Do not bring your phone. Do not take pictures or photos of anybody else who is there. Do not bring your phone. Do not bring your phone. A lot of us have resources and connections inside places planning for responses to the events this weekend. Folks are deploying new technology to track cell phones and social media activity for people who are present at these events. Everything is escalating, and everything is as bad or worse than it has ever been, particularly when it comes to the technology monitoring of people who are exercising their First Amendment rights. Plan a meetup place near but outside of the route and the location of the protest in case you get separated. Do not bring your phone. Please boost and share this with as many people as you can. It doesn't have to be this video, but this message, particularly because we have so many newly activated people who have not participated in actions before, or they have maybe participated in things that were lower risk. That's not what's happening here anymore. If you can hear outside my window. Be safe as much as we can in this fascist police state. Think of why you're there and who you're there for. For a lot of people who cannot be there but want to be there, it is your right to exercise your First Amendment, but it is a new ballgame. Do not put yourself or anybody else at risk. Do not post pictures and videos showing any identifiable information or faces. Do not bring your phone. I love you. Thank you for going.
Have y'all seen this list yet? I want you to take a good look at this fucking list, because this is a list of things that Trump now wants to have the FBI start watching you for. You're not a terrorist yet. You're like a pre-terrorist. So they're convicting you of thought crime. Another violation of your constitutional amendments. Look at this list. Look at how many people fall into one of these super fucking vague categories. I know that we are all the frogs in the boiling water, and only 40% of us are screaming, while 30% of us are like, hey, I love the hot water. Do you not understand how badly this is going to screw every single one of us? And I know if you go, I'm a good Christian, this could fuck you in any way you can't imagine. If you were a good conservative Republican Christian, you could still be dinged on any of these things. If you respect your wife and the lawmaker that wants to go after you goes, actually, a woman should shut the fuck up and do what she's told. Extremism on gender. This is fucking crazy.
Do not RSVP on a No Kings Day website. Just show up there. The fact that they're asking for your full name, your phone number, and your email, I feel like this was common knowledge, but I'm just gonna make a video to say it. Don't do that.
They have already labeled you as a threat. They have already labeled you as violent, as a problem. Okay, look at what lawmakers are saying about this protest that hasn't even occurred yet. The protest isn't until Saturday, and it's across the country. Look at how many places this protest is going to occur. Over 2,500. They're expecting millions of people to turn out to this very peaceful protest, right? On the website of No Kings Day, it says, please do not bring anything violent. I'm not here to debate with anyone why people are getting out on the streets on Saturday, because if you don't see why people are getting out on the streets on Saturday, you're full of shit. I'm here to help in any way that I can. That means I'm going to give you a couple of tips, okay? Number one is have an exit strategy. You don't need to be Mission Impossible on the ass. You just need to know which way the rubber pow-pows are coming from, which way the gas is flowing in from, and know how to get out of there. Bring a map with you. You should have a moving buddy. Remember in Toy Story when Woody is giving instructions for how they're going to move and then you need a moving buddy? I need you to have one of those for Saturday. Also, tell other people that aren't at the protest where you are going to be. Watch out for people trying to cause a problem. Watch out for people trying to piss you off and get under your skin. Treat them with nothing but peace, kindness, love, and move the fuck on. If you can't move the fuck on, go the other way. I don't know what to tell you, baby. But do not engage with those type of folks because that's what they want. They want us to look crazy. Look, I'll be real with you. I can't get out there on Saturday. I have a young child that I can't take out with millions of people protesting in the streets. I would love to, but what I can do is use my platform. So I will be live for the next few nights on TikTok, and you can come in my live, tell me where you're from, and I will tell you the closest No King's Day 2.0 protest near you. Over 1 million people are going to be involved in this. If you cannot safely protest, I completely understand, but do what you can. Even if you're like, oh, Keela, I don't do politics. Baby, politics gonna do you. Do you live in this country? Okay, you need to do some politics right now. Usually I would say that's fine, honey. I don't want to talk about politics either, okay? Right now, this state of our country,